Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and this is PlayLoad. We're going to talk about all my video game pickups for the month of December 2013. First, I want to say, probably go get yourself a drink. Probably would help out in this video, because this will probably be kind of long. Because December is kind of a crazy month for pickups for me. Usually, I mean, Christmas is obvious. My birthday also happens in December. And of course, all the holiday bargains that come down makes it really easy to pick stuff up for not too much money. Especially because, in my case, I pick up a lot of stuff on Black Friday, which is at the very end of November. But because I buy most of that stuff online, if not all of it, it usually doesn't get here until December. So in December, I end up with a lot of stuff. So that's all you need to know going in. First off, you guys have already seen this, but it is the Nintendo 64 disk drive system. Obviously, the N64 is a separate thing. I just thought I would show it attached. I did a whole video on this, and you can check that out to get more information on what this is, etc. Super short version. It's an expansion system, and the games would go in there and either update pre-existing games or be entirely new games. So it's a pretty cool system. A lot of people ask me what I paid for it. I wasn't really inclined to say, but I figured I would go ahead and tell you because so many people asked. I actually only paid $300 for this. That includes this plus the 2 games. Now, when you're saying only $300, fuck you, that's a lot of money. And yeah, obviously $300 is not easy to come by, but when you know how much the DD64 is worth, and I'm sure there's a lot of you who do, you know that's absolutely a steal. This game alone usually goes for $150. Usually this goes for $50. Usually the system itself can go between $500 and $1,200. So it was one of these moments where I won it at $300, and it was an auction, by the way. It wasn't even a buy it now. And I stood there frozen after I won. Like, did I really just win this thing for $300 plus shipping? I think with that it was like $330. It was an amazing moment, and I'm sure a lot of you completely get why that's awesome, and I'm sure a lot of you were like, well, what games are on it that are any good? Why does it matter to pick it up? And you'd be completely right to ask what games would be good on it, and the answer is none. Really, there's nothing on it really worth playing. Well, why would you get it? That's not really the point. The point is to have these cool items. I mean, obviously there's game consoles that are awesome for the great games that are on them, but there's some that are awesome because of how stupid and like weird and rare they are. This is one of those. It's more fun to own this really than to play it. I mean, there are just some consoles like that, and while I'm not trying to knock the 64DD, the truth is, without more games, it really never is anything other than a collector's piece. So it's a neat one at that. So that's why I picked it up. And yeah, I also picked up, this was not part of that auction, was F-Zero X. This is the Japanese version of the game that is required to use with the expansion kit. Now, I think I only paid like $4 for this. This is not an expensive game. Now, a bunch of people were telling me that I can swap out the back of this with an American like sports game and it'll work. I wish I had thought of that. That's a really good idea, and I want to thank all those people for pointing that out. You guys are awesome. So I'll probably do that at some point. I also picked up a memory card for the Sega CD and the power-based converter, which allows Sega Master System games to be played on the Sega Genesis. I picked these up at retrotowers.co.uk. They're both, like I said, I did a whole video on this as well. I highly recommend both of them. And go to retrotowers.co.uk and pick one up if you're interested. If you use my name, Adam K, as a coupon code, you'll get 5% off your order, any item in the store. So that's all I really have to say about those that I didn't say in the video, so go check it out if you want more information on those. I picked up an Xbox 360e. This is the 3rd iteration of the Xbox 360. Again, I did a video on this as well. My friends got me this for a birthday gift, and I still use my Slim. I think the Slim model is actually better, but this is massively improved over the original Fat model. So if you're in the market for a 360, I still say go with the Slim model, but this is much better than the old one. At least that's as far as I'm concerned. And they designed it to look like an Xbox One, which is kind of cool. So that's really all I have to say on it that I didn't say in my video originally. It also comes with Halo 4 physical copy and like a worthless digital copy of Tomb Raider. Nothing against the game, I just don't support digital. Unfortunately, this copy of Halo 4 has this not packaged for individual sale hideous yellow thing on it that you can't get rid of, but hey, not really complaining because it's just cool to include a game that I didn't have. I also got Mortal Kombat Deception. I was sent this by a user named Vortex. Actually, last month or this month, I was sent a few things for free that all randomly seem to come around the exact same time. I did a video on that before. This was sent by Vortex. I also got a really awesome Sonic Adventure 2 poster by a guy named Scott. His username is Sega Saturn Lad. And I got some Dreamcast stickers from a guy named Jonathan. His username is Dreamcastic Channel. I didn't include those here because I typically only include games and consoles in PlayLoad, not so much just random assorted items, although I'm about to break that rule in a moment. But the game itself, I only played for like a couple minutes. It's pretty cool. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's a pretty decent Mortal Kombat game. I mean, what else is there to say? But I haven't really compared it to any of the other ones in the series. It's 360 compatible, which is nice, and it's natively widescreen, so it looks really good on the 360. And I'm sure it looks really good on the original Xbox as well. So there you go, and thank you again, Vortex, for that. This is the thing that breaks the rule. This is a Legend of Zelda soundtrack, a Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask official soundtrack. This was, I just did a video on this. This is from Club Nintendo. This was the platinum status gift for 2013, or one of the options, and this was the one I picked. It's a nice 2-disc set here that opens. It's harder to do with one hand. There you go, 2 discs. And it's got over 100 songs on it, which is pretty insane, really. And then it came with that little piece of paper there. So that was a nice little bonus to pick up, but obviously not a game. I picked up a PlayStation 2. I don't think there's much to say about a PlayStation 2. You guys, I'm sure, all know what a PlayStation 2 looks like and what it is. I did a video on restoring this thing. This thing was absolutely in horrendous shape when I got it, and I cleaned it up to the state that it's in now. It also, I didn't mention this in that video, but it did come with the broadband adapter right here. And this is a broadband adapter slash like hard drive expansion. I didn't show it in the video, as I mentioned before, but it did come with it. It was included. It wasn't attached to it. It had the little plastic thing. And yeah, so whatever. I decided to clean that up as well. And if you are interested in making your PS2 that might perhaps be dusty and gross shine like new, go check out my video. But that's really all there is to say on it. I picked up Lego Marvel Superheroes for the Xbox One. This is my first multi-plat of the 8th generation, and that includes the Wii U. I like the Lego games. All of them. Like Lego Batman, Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Star Wars. I think they're all great. They're some of the few games that I actually go out of my way to get 100% complete on in every single one of them. That being said, I haven't played this one. Well, why not? Well, because I'm trying to do them in the order of release as best I can. So I just completed, like, a few days ago, Lego Batman 2. So I don't remember which one's next. I think I want to try and do, like, the Lego Harry Potter ones next. So the point is, I'm going to be waiting on this one for a while, but I'm sure it's phenomenal, because they always are. They're almost always great games. So I was really happy to pick this up, and I decided to go with the Xbox One version just because. Maybe it's for achievements, I don't know. We'll see if I regret that decision. I still haven't decided on my dominant console for the 8th generation. We'll see how it goes. But yeah. Oh, I also got this from Amazon in late November, so this actually was reduced from 60 to 30. It was 29. It was $29. So, like I said, a lot of stuff I get for really good deals, and in this case, this was no exception. This was a really good deal for this game. So, that's awesome. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to show you a bunch of games, and you're going to be like, you spent a crap ton of money, and I will explain at the end how I did not spend a crap ton of money. So just hear me out. First up is Remember Me. I played this for a while. I played this for like a good half hour to an hour getting footage for it for a video we were posting on Machinima, which is up right now, actually, if you want to check that out. This is, I think, was a really neat game. It's like a really cool action-adventure, like platforming kind of game, but it's got like a science fiction-y type of thing happening, and it's a bit of a mystery. I don't know. I enjoyed the story and where they were going with it. I've enjoyed this game, but Remember Me is ironic because nobody seems to remember it. Capcom put a bunch of money into this game and then didn't market it like at all, so most people have never even heard of it. I suggest picking it up. You know, honestly, I had a pretty good time with it in the amount of time I've played it, and I really want to. I look forward to continuing to play it when I get more time to do it. It's actually, of the games here, probably one of the ones I've played the most. So, hey, you know, I enjoyed it. Capcom, guys, I really hope you get your act together, because the industry will really miss you if you go belly up, and it will. You will go belly up if you make games like this and then don't advertise them. So please, guys, get it right. Now, for that same video I was just talking about with Machinima, I also picked this up. Well, that wasn't the reason I picked this up, but I played this game, just the intro, again for the same reason for that video. Ironically, the footage I recorded we didn't even end up using. But Tomb Raider. I like this game, and I wanted a physical release, which is why I wasn't, one of many reasons I wasn't interested in the digital release that came with this. But this game got a lot of really good reviews, and I know it's actually being re-released now for the Xbox One enhanced, and it's going to have all the DLC and stuff, so I might pick that version up instead of playing this one, since I haven't played it yet, so we'll see. I don't know yet, but in the little amount of time I played it, I thought it was actually pretty cool. I enjoyed it a lot more than any of the previous Tomb Raiders in just that amount of time, so that's something. Alien Colonel Marines, I think we all know that this game was an absolute disaster. Thank you, Sega and Gearbox. There's really nothing else to say about that. Dishonored. If I had known there was going to be a Game of the Year edition of this, I would not have bought this. I would have waited for the Game of the Year edition because I love Game of the Year editions. They always include all the DLC. They're generally cheaper. And especially by Bethesda, they're really good at putting out these 2-disc collector sets that have all the DLC on a second disc. So I really wish I had waited. But I didn't know. I didn't know! But yeah, Dishonored is supposed to be a really cool game. I mean, we've played it a little bit over on my other channel on Game Society Pimps. And this is my buddy Aaron's favorite game of all time. So I want to give a big shout out to Jonathan Jacobovitz over at LHR Gaming. Your video on Dishonored, it is coming up soon, my friend. But yeah, anyway, Dishonored. Probably should pick this up, but you should probably wait for it, or you should probably get the Game of the Year edition. If you kind of like things like, basically the gameplay mechanics of like Fallout and Skyrim, you're probably going to like this. Crysis 2, Limited Edition. Crysis 3, Hunter Edition. Look, I haven't played Crysis 2 at all. And Crysis 3, I've played a little bit, again, for Machinima. I played a walking through this. We played it a bit last year. And my impression of it then was kind of... These games, most first-person shooter games, I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off by saying this, but please hear me out. First-person shooter games, for the most part, are like popcorn flicks. You know, they're like Independence Day or 2012 or Transformers, even though I love Transformers, but I don't mean the Michael Bay versions. And that's the problem, is this is a Michael Bay type of thing, if that makes any sense. There's nothing wrong with them, but they're games that you're supposed to like just kind of shut off your brain and just kind of, you know, deal with it. I prefer more story-intensive games, especially ones like that. So, I don't know. I'm just saying that there's nothing wrong with them necessarily, but you get used to the formula eventually with games like this. So, that's all I'm saying. Whatever. I also picked up NBA 2K12. Got this for one simple reason. I'm a huge Chicago Bulls fan. Unfortunately, they fell apart completely this year. Thank you, Derek. No, I miss you, Derek. We all miss Derek Rose. Anyway, this one, of course, has Michael Jordan on the cover, who is a freaking god in this city. I live in Chicago. And that's pretty much the only reason I got this. Saints Row the Third. I have Saints Row 1, and I have Saints Row 4, sort of. I'll explain that in a bit. And I do not have Saints Row 2, but there was an opportunity to pick this up, so I did it, and I look forward to playing it in succession with the others. Rage. Alright, so Rage was a big effort by Bethesda and John Carmack. John Carmack, of course, created Doom and Quake. This game, I remember reading a review, and I think one person said it best when he said this was basically the Superman Returns of video games. It was a game that took years to make. People really were waiting on it. A lot of people put a lot of effort into it. And when you got it, you didn't think it sucked. You just were disappointed. You were expecting more somehow. That's really what Rage was. Now, I haven't played it enough for that to be my personal experience. That's just the reviews I read. And that makes a lot of sense to me. Because a lot of people seem to have that exact same reaction. And generally, when a bunch of people with the same interests all seem to universally agree on the same thing, it's probably accurate. To the point where John Carmack has not made games since this, and he's now working on something innovative, the Oculus Rift, because this game just didn't push innovation in any real way. And I'm sure he was disappointed by that. So, not saying it's a bad game, just saying it was disappointing for how much effort went into it. That's all. Jak and Daxter collection for the PS3. If you played Jak and Daxter 1, 2, or 3, it's just all three of those games with HD textures for the PS3. So, that's pretty cool. Ratchet and Clank collection, same basic idea. It's all three of those games remastered with HD textures and put on the PS3. And a big shout out to Sean Rossick for hooking me up with the Ratchet and Clank games for the PS2 and inspiring me to go out and get this and vicariously to get that as well, just because it's pretty neat to have these HD collections of these games. Moving on Journey for the PS3 Collector's Edition, which I don't even think there is a regular edition. It includes Flow, Journey itself, and Flower. And I think Flower was just re-released on the PS4. I'm very happy this exists because, all right, so as I mentioned before, I don't support digital gaming, like at all. And that means, unfortunately, that I'm cut off from a lot of independent titles. Now, a lot of people can't separate the two things. They say, like, well, you don't support digital, so you don't support independent gamers. It's not true. I like to support independent games, but I need a physical release. I enjoy having physically a copy of the game just as much as I enjoy playing it. Without having the physical thing, it's a deal breaker. That's just how it is. That's just my take on it. You don't have to agree with me, but that's just how it is. So I'm really glad when releases like this get out because it means I get to play these games and enjoy it to the fullest because I also own it. And I mean, I support every independent Dreamcast game that comes out, so to say that I don't support independent games is ridiculous. So I will always support independent games as long as they get a physical release. That's just my deal breaker. You don't have to agree. We're all entitled to our own opinions. But that being said, I'm really happy this got out, and it's been kind of fun. I mean, the lead developer of this is actually a woman, which is pretty cool. There are not nearly enough women making video games, so I'm glad that this is out and about. Moving on, also for the PS3, Little Big Planet karting. This is Mario Kart with Little Big Planet characters. I mean, if you know what that is, you know what this is. So it was fun, but I mean, I really have no criticism of it. That's it. It's Mario Kart with Little Big Planet characters. So there you go. Speaking of Little Big Planet, I finally got Little Big Planet 1. I got Little Big Planet 2 last month, but I never had the first one. Now, going back to digital, some people might recall, early in the PlayStation 3's lifespan, the network got hacked. I think it was by Anonymous. This was before PlayStation Plus even existed. So their networks went down for like a few days, and when they brought the services back online, anyone who was already a PlayStation Network subscriber, which was anybody literally, if you had a PlayStation 3, you probably had an account. They allowed you to download a couple of free games, one of which was Little Big Planet, and I think one was like Infamous. Now here's the thing. Yes, I don't support digital games, but when there's an opportunity to get a free one, I always take it. Because to me, a digital game is really nothing more than a rental. You don't own that. I'm sorry, you don't own it. You just have the rights to it as long as the service functions and as long as your hard drive functions. But you don't have a physical thing that is your property. You can't resell the right to a digital game. It's just not there. It's not physical. You don't own that shit. So the way I look at it is if the game is free to download, I can try it out, much like I would have done with a rental in Blockbuster in the 90s, hold on to it, as long as I want, play it as long as I want, and then return it. So that's what I would do with Blockbuster. In this case, I'd go, okay, that game is fun, it is worth owning, I'll go out and pick up a copy, which obviously took me quite a number of years to finally do, but I did it. So that's my take on it. If you want to play nothing but digital games, that's completely your right. But it's just not my thing. Anyway, Little Big Planet itself is a pretty cool game, and I'm glad I got the Game of the Year edition here, because it comes with a shit ton of DLC, like, right away. On top of that, now, actually, before we go into Saints Row 4 here, I want to talk about all these games, because all the ones you just saw, going all the way back to Remember Me, is all part of one big story. Now, I don't know how many people use... There's a service called GameFly in the United States. It's kind of like Netflix, but for video games. It's they give you a disc, they mail it to you, use it as long as you want, return it when you want. I don't think it exists in any other countries. I don't even think that they have it in Canada. I think that's just an American thing. But GameFly ends up with a lot of stock, left over. They have a lot of inventory. So they do what they call blowout sales, where they just wipe games off, and they sell them out to you really, really cheap. And so I take advantage of that when I can. And this, in all the years I've worked, or all the years I've been buying or getting stuff from them, renting stuff from them, using their service, this is the best deal they've ever had. So what was the deal? All right, so they were having a blowout sale where most games were knocked down to like $7.99, $8.99. Okay? Now I've been with them for a long time. So they take 10% off of everything, and that's not like a special thing for me. They do that for anybody who's been with them for a long time. So you bring most games down to like $6.50, $7.50, something like that. The most expensive one was Rage, which I think ended up being like, it was like $13.99, and then with 10% off, it's like $11.50, something like that. So you're still thinking like, okay, well that's a better deal, but it's still not amazing. That's still kind of a good chunk of money there. And you'd be right, except that on top of that, they were also doing a Black Friday sale. Now the Black Friday sale is what made this amazing. Because when you checked out, they knocked an instant $5 off every single game. So in most cases, the game ended up being like $1.50, $2.50. In Rage's case, it was like $7 at that point. And so you're like, wow, that's a really good deal. And it totally was. So all these games arrive, and the 360 games, this is a side tip here if you buy used 360 games, always install your games to your hard drive immediately upon getting them if they are used. Because if it can install successfully, that means there's nothing wrong with the game. If it fails, that means there's something wrong with the disk, and you should try to return it as soon as you possibly can. Now, every single game passed that test except for Rage. Disk 2 of it was corrupted, and it would not install properly. So I contacted them about this, in addition to another game I bought, which you don't see, which I got Adventure Time for the DS. I got that from my girlfriend, and they gave me the DS version with the 3DS case. So I contacted them and said, hey, this is wrong, and so Rage is defective. And they're like, okay, well, we don't do like a straight exchange thing, so just mail it back to us. And they gave me a label and everything. I mail it back to them, and they said, we'll just we'll refund your money, and that'll be that. And I went, all right. Because that was lame, because that meant I wasn't going to get the good deal. So they refund the money, and then when they did that, they also said, hey, by the way, any coupons you used have been restored to your account. And I was like, oh shit, that's awesome, because that means I can now just go rebuy them and reapply the same coupons. So I go ahead and do that. And then I noticed that their Black Friday sale, for some reason, was still in effect. So this was $13.99 knocked down to $11.50, knocked down to like $7 something or other, and then they took another $5 off of it, so I ended up getting Rage for $2, and then Adventure Time ended up being like $1, so that was an amazing deal. So as you can see, I got a bunch of these games for virtually nothing. It was awesome. So yeah, if you don't use GameFly, it is a really good way to get cheap games. Anyway, moving on, after all that, Saints Row 4. Now, Saints Row 4, I've actually had for a long time. I had it a month before it got released. I got a copy sent to me by Machinima for review purposes, which I eventually showed you guys. It was just it's just a disc. Like it looks, you wouldn't know it was a game. It's a disc in a blank CD case, and it just says like Technicolor on it. It doesn't say anywhere on it that it's a game. It's just a screener copy. And I was never really satisfied with that because I wanted, you know, a nice retail copy. Now I have to jump ahead a little bit here to make you understand this fully. I mentioned last month that I got this amazing deal at Target. Target had this deal where if you bought 2 games, they'd knock off a third completely for free of equal or lesser value. So in my case, I bought The Wonderful 101, which you can see right there. I got Pikmin 3, which you can see right there. And I got Saints Row 4, not this copy. And I got all that after you take, they knock off the one for free, and then at the same time they had a second deal where, I'm not going to go into the details of this, but you were able to get these coupons, knock 30% off of any 2 games. And the way that all computed and stacked together, it ends up being a massive refund. There's the 30% off, which ends up being $36. You end up getting all those games for $91.75, which for those 3 games is an amazing deal. So I didn't open them, though, because I wasn't certain I was going to keep them. And eventually I decided, okay, I'm not going to keep Saints Row. And the reason I decided on that was because Amazon decided to release the collector's edition of Saints Row 5, or Saints Row 4, for like, I think it was like $40 or $50 on Black Friday. I'll show a picture of it here. I don't even have it out here because it's huge. It's absolutely huge. Yeah, so you can see it there. It's a giant box with a bunch of stuff. It was cheaper to get that and get this version of the game with DLC and all the cool stuff in it than it was to just keep the original regular edition. So what I did was I went back to Target with all 3 of these games, plus Saints Row 4, and I did a straight swap out of Saints Row 4 for this. Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, the Winter Games 2014 for the Wii U. The version that actually comes with a Wiimote. While I still think the Wiimote is the worst controller ever, and despite a bunch of people telling me that that makes the games... Look, I'm going to go on a side note here. I do not like the Wii because of its controller. I have nothing against the games. There's a bunch of people that can't seem to separate that if I say the controller is bad, that I must inherently think all the games are bad. There's nothing wrong with Wii games. It's just this controller that is awful. But anyway, so I got that in exchange for Saints Row 4, which you can see right there. They marked Saints Row 4 and then swapped it out for this Wii U game. So I think, honestly, you get this thing, plus that thing, all for the grand total of $91.75. I still think that's an amazing deal. And now, I haven't really played any of these because, as you can see, I got a lot of stuff, and I haven't had a lot of time to do much with it because December is a crazy month. You know, you got a lot of family stuff you got to do, and I never get to stop working. But yeah, that's it for most of these pickups here. Now, believe it or not, there is one thing left. This is a package that originally came in a real box. It did not come just as bubble wrap. I got this from the UK, and the box arrived in it was like covered in black duct tape, and my initial reaction was, oh look, a bomb. You know, like I didn't know what it was because I didn't remember anything coming from the UK. I wasn't expecting anything. Apparently I was, but I'd completely forgotten about it. And yeah, so I opened it up just to see what it was, and it was this, and then I instantly remembered what this was. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this up. Sorry about the jump cut there. I just couldn't open that thing with just one hand. So anyway, this came from the UK from a guy named Daniel Bardsley, who was a badass motherfucker. He basically sent this to me, and let me read the note first. Adam, hopefully they arrived to you in remarkable condition. Happy birthday, Daniel. He had messaged me, I think it was a few days before my birthday, which was December 8th, and said, hey, you know, I got these extra Dreamcast games. I know your birthday's coming up. Do you want them? And I was like, sure, because, you know, when people offer to send me stuff, I always say thank you, although I never really expect anyone to do it, and no one ever has to. I genuinely appreciate it, but no one ever has to do anything like that. But anyway, so he sent me these, and obviously I'd completely forgotten about it. And the games are Sega Rally 2, let me take the note off there, and Virtua Fighter 3TB. Now, the thing is, as I'm sure a lot of you know, I have every Dreamcast game that ever came out. So, why send these to me? Well, I don't have every version. You know, like, I have this for the US version, I have the US version of this, but I never had the European versions. I never thought, like, hey, I need to get every single version, because that would be insane. But that didn't matter, because, you know, he still wanted to send to me, and I'm still perfectly willing to give them a very good home. And upon doing a little bit of research on Sega Rally in particular, I'm pretty glad he actually sent these to me. Now, Sega Rally, for those who don't know, and I didn't even know this, Sega Rally is actually different in the European version as opposed to the North American version. Now, how's it different? They use different cars, at least in some cases. The reason for that is, I'm assuming, to make cars that are either more or less recognizable to the audience playing it. And I thought, whoa, that's pretty neat. I mean, I don't really play racing games much, but that is kind of cool that they just completely changed the cars and the car models and stuff. So it's cool to have that, because I'm not going to say it's like having a whole new game, but it is like having just a slightly different version of the game, which is neat. And as far as I could tell, there's nothing different necessarily. Well, that's a European case for you. Those things just do not last. Yeah, as far as I can tell, there's nothing necessarily special or different about this version of the game. But it's still cool because, as you guys know, huge Shenmue fan. And, of course, Shenmue spawned from the Virtua Fighter series, so it's kind of cool to have this in my possession because it's kind of like another little weird piece of Shenmue merch, in a way. So, yeah, that's thank you very much for that, Daniel. You do not have to do that. Anyway, so thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm sorry, I know this took way longer than usual. So that's it. Those are my pickups. I want to, again, thank Daniel for that. And I want to thank you know, Scott, Jonathan, and Vortex for things like Mortal Kombat, you know, the poster and the stickers. RetroTowers.co.uk, if you're interested in any of their stuff, go check them out. And again, my name's a coupon code over there. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all later.